Hey, you. Yeah, you. Talking to you. Watching this video right now. Stop what you're doing for a second. Just listen to what I got to tell you. How would you like access to behind the scenes content, bonus content, extra content before anybody gets to see it? And grab some snazzy Zagnif Productions merch, like this comfortable looking t-shirt right here. Or this snazzy polo. Yes, I know it's wrinkled. I have an iron. It just came out of the washing machine. Shut it. Or this very, very snazzy looking pair of shoes right here. Well, you can do all of that. Some of those for as little as $5 a month. Our goal right now by the end of November is to be up to 10 patron sponsors for the $5 package. We also have a $15 package, a $25 package. They go all the way up to $50. And each one of them has different levels of access to the content that we're creating. And you guys know we've been working really hard to put out some quality content. We've got the radio station coming, and that's getting ready to do some things for you here. So zip on over today to www.patreon.com/Zagnif Productions and sign up today. And thank you so much for your support.
We're sorry, the number you
This
have
hurts.
dialed is
Hold on,
not
I gotta hold it.
in
Hold on.
service at this time.
Is it done? Is it? Okay. Okay. See you later.
Your new home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.
Sooners are taking on the number 21 Texas Longhorns. I'm still wondering when they're going to be back. Sam Ellinger said they were going to be back like 3 years ago.
Just comes to mind on that list that you're like, like this, they could shock the world.
Nathan,
You want this? Hold on.
Nathan, wait a minute. Stop it, Skip.
Hold on. How are we looking at this? Is this a walk off, or is this going to be like the Florida game?
Bama about 3 touchdowns.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
What's the big thing?
Ladies and girls, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. It is Thursday, November 11th, 2021. Welcome to this week's second edition of This Week in SEC Football. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Fingers, coming to you live from Zagnif Central. That fella right over there, Mr. Point and Smile, the shout-out king, Sean Spencer, and the one and only homie, the brother from another mother, Colin P. Gentlemen, how are y'all feeling today?
good, doing good.
Absolutely good time, man.
It's been an absolutely this season worth of NCAA football has not disappointed by any stretch of the imagination. The only constant that there really has been this season has been that Georgia has been the number one team for most of the season, and that the CFP is still, everybody's still wondering what the hell the CFP committee is doing. But other than that, there have been no constants. There have been teams in and out of the top 25. There have been teams in and out of the top 10. The CFP rankings came out. Teams have jumped on the rankings and jumped right back off the rankings after getting what we ain't gonna call no name, Mississippi State, but it happens. So, that's how things go. But today, I did mention today is November 11th. First of all, I want to send a shout out to my niece Jess on her 10th wedding anniversary. She and her husband got married 1 week to the day after my wife and I got married. So Jess and Kyle and your beautiful baby girls, happy anniversary. Unc loves you. Hopefully I'll get to see you soon. But also November 11th, Veterans Day. And we want to take an opportunity to thank all of the men and women, Army, Navy, Air Force, the Crayon crew, the Marine Corps, and the Space Force. Whether you are active duty, National Guard, or reserves, whether you deployed or whether you were a desk jockey, we thank you for your service. There's your boy right there, yours truly. Let me back this up a little bit here. There's your boy, yours truly. That's at Fort Stewart, 1996. I was evaluated for the Expert Field Medical Badge That's me and a crew in Kuwait. That's right after I graduated from leadership course. That is my first re-enlistment in Korea. There's my roommate in Korea. We still keep in touch. And that's with the medical platoon at Fort Stewart 37 Cav Med. That's when I first got that right there. Hold on. We go pause this for a second. That right there. That is when I first got my head shaved bald. October 1994 in a desert in Kuwait. Your boy went over there and had an S curl. It wasn't a soul glow. It wasn't a soul glow, but I had an S curl. I didn't have the ready for the world. I had the baby face special. And
where's that picture at, man? We gotta get that one up there.
I gotta find some, man. You forget this is before the days of camera phones. So if it's not a photograph somewhere that I can scan, but my hair started falling out. So my homie was like, "Nah, cuz I can't let you roll like that." That's my my battle buddy right there, B Smith, my homie, and been bald ever since. Yeah. And and where is this? Oh, graduation from basic training right there. First on the left. Not basic training. That's graduation from A school at Fort Sam Houston. So to our fighting men and women, we salute you, one and all. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. God, I swear to God, you got something coming in here on the IM line. Need to get you. Hey, that's a lead into something we're gonna get into a little bit later on, because we got one coming up this week. This week in SEC football, sponsored by DJG Enterprises and www.greekgans.com. Go on over there, get yourself some custom gear, fellas. I've ordered my insulated tumbler. I'm getting one in red. It's gonna have the dog on it. And it's going to say this week in SEC football, and underneath that it's going to say OKC dog, and it's going to say Mr. Fingers. So that it's coming. It's coming. Go get yours today. Those are only $40. They're insulated. They are 20-ounce tumblers. They keep the hot things hot and the cool things cool. Or you can get yourself a nice, pretty Afghan. Those start at the 125. They are both made here in the United States and shipped locally. Don't take you longer than 2 to 2.5 weeks to get. So go check them out. All right, fellas, y'all ready to get into this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
All right. So what we got on the agenda this week? Let me back up first of all. So this week, this week and the coming weeks, basically, we know in the SEC tends to be a little bit different than the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the ACC, the Big 12. While those guys are gearing up to run through what I like to call murderer's row and generally have another rivalry game, the SEC tends to be more the cupcakes. I mean, we are under normal circumstances, Georgia would be having a cupcake game. We'll get into that later, so we can't really call that one a cupcake. But let's get off on this one. Let's get right on into it. First up, we got Samford at Florida. Samford at 3-5, Florida at 4-5. That is a noon kickoff on the SEC network. SEC Network Plus. Y'all didn't hear me. I said the SEC Network Plus and ESPN Plus. So what that means is, for those of you that are watching right now that don't get this, you know that you're in a bad spot because they tend to start flexing games like the NFL at closer to the end of the season. I think when the schedules come out around about week 9, they start saying time to be announced, time and channel. When it's week 11 and you're playing on you got a noon kickoff and you got a noon kickoff on a network that you got to pay a subscription for to get to.
Yeah, and just to let you know, I don't even think it has a line on this game. I don't even think they put a line on this game.
There is none. There is none. Florida came out very highly touted this season. They predicted them to finish as high as second and potentially first in the SEC West. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and throw this graphic up here real quick. We'll come back to it later on in the show. But here's the graphic. This is where they had everybody ranked in the preseason to finish. And as you can see here, Florida had Florida at least with 9-10 wins this season, coming in second in the SEC East. And right now they're at 4-5. And they have left on their schedule after this week. They've got Mizzou and Florida State University. So, right now they're just trying to be. They've got 3 games left, and they're struggling to be bowl eligible.
Or at least 500. I mean, they've been struggling to even get 500.
Yeah, they might not make 500 because Florida State has kind of righted the ship. I mean, they're still not Florida State, the Florida State we remember, but they've kind of righted the ship. And Missouri's a scrappy little some gun. They might come out there and get you too.
That begs the question that we talked about last week. Has Florida pretty much given up? We'll find out. I guess the next couple games. We'll see if they actually. I mean, I hesitate to believe that, but at the same point, the way they look like they did give up. But at the same point, we'll see. We'll see the last couple games, see what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we talked about this on Monday where Florida really was motivated. Sean, I think you were the one that made the point that Florida was exceptionally motivated because they played Bama close. And then they turned around and lost to Kentucky, and they didn't lose by much to Kentucky. So that was kind of, and Kentucky was highly touted at the time. But then you turn around and you drop one to LSU, a team also in flux with a lame duck head coach. And then you get curb stomped by Georgia. And then to add insult to injury, you get beat by the South Carolina Gamecocks. I think the guys are just demoralized. I mean, it's at the point where I think a lot of them think the season is over. A lot of the seniors that were thinking they were going to be high draft picks, may or may not. They may go second round, mid-second round, late second round, high third round instead of being a first round pick. And it's like.
Just think about it. I mean, like you said, these last 3 games, you got Samford, which I don't think they'll have any trouble with Samford. I mean, I don't think they'll have a problem with them. But at the same point, what happens if they do get upset, or I guess how you'd call it an upset with Missouri? Like if Missouri does beat them, how much more demoralizing would that be? I mean, it would just be like,
Absolutely. I mean, dude. LSU, South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. I think those were expected because Georgia and Bama were 1-2. Or 2-1, depending on which way you want to look at it. I think they were 1 and 2 in the preseason rankings. Okay, we were gonna have a dogfight with those, no pun intended. But to lose to LSU and to lose to South Carolina and their last 2 games that they lost against Georgia and against South Carolina, they lost by a combined 50 points.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So these guys, I don't. What do you got? I say. My take is they go 500, they get a bowl game, but it'll be like somewhere around between the 20th and the 25th, between the 20th and Christmas. You know what I mean? I don't see them doing much more than that.
Yeah.
That's just my projection. I mean, thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if they do get a bowl, I mean, that's probably where they'll land. They'll probably land what you just said. I mean, and I don't even know who would you think they would be playing in, say, a bowl such that low. You know what I mean? I don't even know.
They probably want to play in a group of 5 team.
Mm-hmm.
Because I noticed that even the SEC teams that struggle wind up getting those G5 teams just so the SEC team appears to have the advantage on paper to make it watchable, to make people go at least, hey, I'll check this out because Florida's going to beat the living hell out of Buck Tussle State. Oh, by the way, Buck Tussle State right now is Buck Tussle State is like 7-2 right now.
Dude, I gotta check out Buck. Y'all been talking a lot about Buck Tussle State. I gotta check them out. where are they based out of? Where is Buck Tussle State?
We made that up, bro. That's a made up name.
Well, all right, we'll make up where they from then.
Buck Tussle, Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi. Okay, see it sounded like a southern thing. I was just making sure. That's all.
back up in the South where it ain't Georgia clay, but it's Southern clay, and they say grace and they say ma'am, and if you ain't into that, they don't give a damn. And they eat pig feet with black eyed peas and hog maws and collard greens and chitlins, just like the rest of them.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Buck Tussle, Mississippi. You seriously thought Buck Tussle State was a real school?
I did. I mean, I don't claim my stupidity. I'm
sorry.
My God,
my man.
Sounds good. I mean, hell, they may need to make up one now. That'd be it's a good name.
Buck Tussle State Unit, Buck Tussle, Mississippi, kissing cousins to Mayberry, North Carolina. There you go. Hey, Angie, you want me to put my bullet in? No, Barney, but don't need you to do that right now. We'll try and keep it calm. You don't want to upset Aunt B, because when Aunt B's upset, her apple pies don't turn out quite right. All right, we can keep it moving.
A lot of truth to that.
We gonna keep it moving. That has been another Mr. Fingers bad impersonation. Let's see. Next game up on the roster. Mississippi State at number 17 Auburn. Mississippi State comes in at 5-4. Auburn comes in at 6-3. Noon kickoff on ESPN. Right now, Auburn is a 5.5-point favorite. ESPN has them with a 66% chance to win the game. I'm gonna go to you first, Colin. What do you got?
I don't know. I don't think I have that feeling I had against Mississippi State against Kentucky. I don't have that kind of feeling. I think Mississippi State's going to take this. Auburn's going to take this one. It may. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if they'll cover. I mean, it might be a 10-point victory there. I mean, I think Auburn. Like I said, they have nothing to lose, like we talked about beforehand, and I think they'll be balling out. They'll be doing, what they can. And then again, we're talking about Mississippi State. How they may be dejected, from the losses they've had and that kind of stuff. So I mean, that may come into play. I don't know, but I'm going with Auburn.
I agree.
Yeah, bringing it back to you, Sean. Any thoughts? Anything to add on top of that?
No, I agree. I think this is the bounce back week. We said they had the down week after they had a good week, and I think this is the bounce back. And I think they do good. But Will Rogers, I think he continues to keep passing like he's been doing. And I do think he'll get a lot more garbage time yards. But yeah, I think Auburn's got this. Yeah,
it will. Speaking of, he's on pace right now to have his 6th straight 300 passing yard game so far this season. He's got 18 TDs, and his completion percentage is pretty. Even for those to be mostly garbage time yards, he's got a 75% completion rate. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a guy slinging the ball around just trying to play catch up. That's pretty doggone. That's pretty doggone proficient.
I'm actually interested to see what Bo Nix we see. Also, see what kind of.
Oh God, that's that's every single week. That's like watching. That's like remember back in the day watching Quantum Leap to see where Sam wound up.
There he goes.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with watching Auburn. Like, which Bo Nix are we going to see this week? Oh man. I think some keys to the game. I think Bixby's really got to have a breakout game. He hasn't had any games that are really definitive. He was one of the running backs in the NCAA, especially in the SEC, that they came in and they were like, Bixby's going to have a big year this year. And he's had flashes of brilliance, but he hasn't been that guy. You know what I'm saying? He just has not been that guy. He needs to have a breakout game. And another key is the defenses. Both two teams have really only held their opponents to 15. They've held their opponents to 15 points or less 4 times between the two teams, and each of them have 2 of those games apiece. Bo Nix he had the game. He had that game where he just like, this is the Bo Nix we've been waiting on. All right, Bo, let's keep this thing going, and then just completely imploded against Texas A&M University. No TDs, 1 interception, only a $153. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go against the grain. I'm giving this one to Mississippi State. I know Auburn has nothing to lose, but Auburn also has too many personalities. We don't know which one's going to show up. I'm giving the edge to Mississippi State in this one. I know they say Auburn 5.5 points is too many points to lay when you're playing Mississippi State with a quarterback that can throw for 300 yards. Period.
Yeah, I think they did the majority because they're at home. So I mean that's probably what gave them that 5. That 5.5 because they're at home. Yeah. So, I mean, you never know.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to win in Jordan Hare is one of those hard stadiums to win in. So that's probably the home advantage that they might have the home advantage, but Bo has got to be. I mean, at this point, Auburn's got nothing to lose. I know we talked about this. Let me take this back to the 2-quarterback system we talked about on Monday. Sean, thank you for pinging me and told me you were watching the show just to get caught up on what we said on Monday. I listened to it on the way home. I need to go back and address, before I make my next point, I need to go back and address something I said. I talked about using a 2-quarterback system. That was not what I meant. What I meant by that is I think that every program should seek to develop their backup quarterback to the point that at any point, if you need to tap him, like I get it.
I picked up on that as I listened as well. I saw what you were trying to say, but I got big and bad, so I apologize. You're all good
because you made me rethink what I was saying because, during the season. Switching and swapping quarterbacks, that develops no continuity whatsoever. You either pick one or you pick the other. And if you bench the starter, you let the backup play, and you let the backup play. You understand what I'm saying? But like in a situation, here's a scenario: you've got 10 wins, you've already locked up your conference, you've got 2 cupcake games on the schedule. Maybe you want to let your backup quarterback get some garbage time against the team. Sure, absolutely. Right. But don't just flip and flop between the two of them. But in this particular case that we were discussing, this is a national championship game. There are no more games after this. Your goal is to come out on top as the winner. And as the starter, if you're not getting the job done, I'm sorry for your hurt feelings if I had to make you sit down and let the backup win the game. It happens that way. So that's more so what I was getting at. I think that's what Kirby is working towards trying to develop, is to have a stable of quarterbacks to where, okay, we're in the SEC championship game. We got to win this one to get in the playoffs. Mailman's not getting it done. Hey, JT, get in here, or vice versa.
Man up. I mean, that's the way it goes. Man up.
But that was what I was talking about with the 2-quarterback system. At this point, Auburn, the SEC West is still wide open. The point I was trying to make it, SEC West is still wide open. Auburn is not eliminated. Auburn has South Carolina and Bama as their next 2 games up. South Carolina is in the point of the season where they can't make the playoffs because they don't have enough conference games left to make up the gap. So they're pulling out all the stops. And you see what happened to Florida last week. I mean, they didn't just beat Florida. They embarrassed Florida. They beat Florida by like 23 points. So 40-17. Yeah, they beat Florida 40-17. Right. South Carolina's warming up. So if you got Bo Nix out there and he's running around like a kid in the food court that's been hopped up on leftover Halloween candy that wants to go to the play area, that's having an absolute fit because you won't let him go, then it's time to pull him and put in TJ Finley. I'm wondering why Harsin has not put TJ Finley. Why is Harsin so stuck on Bo Nix? If I was a D1 coach and I had a quarterback that was this guy this week and that guy the next week, I don't care how hot. You only got a couple times to go Jekyll Hyde on me before I just sit you down and let me see what the other guy can do. So that's my 2 cents. That's kind of why I'm giving the edge of Mississippi State, because I got a feeling at this point that even though he knows that he can still get in the SEC championship if he wins out, if Bo starts to slide, I don't think Harson's going to pull the pin. I think he's going to leave Finley in. And that may wind up being his undoing as a head coach. I'm not saying his seat is hot. They are bowl eligible. They are going to play in a bowl, but you still have an opportunity to at least, if not make the college football playoff, at least win the conference championship.
Right.
So that's my 2 cents there. What did I say? I gave the edge of Mississippi State on that one. Oh, I got to back up. I forgot to let you guys know. I'm giving the edge to – I'm going out on a ledge here, but I'm giving the edge to Florida in this one, the Florida-Sanford game. Gators, you're welcome. I don't give y'all a lot of credit very often. So, all right, next game up. New Mexico State at number 2 Bama. And if these games sound boring, trust me. Like I said, this is the time of the season when the SEC just start scheduling the cupcake games because they put them all on the back end of the schedule because they don't know which one of them is going to wind up being in the SEC playoff, and they don't want to take a chance. They want to give their backup guys some game reps. They don't want to take a chance on getting their starters hurt in case they're in the championship game. And Bama's still in the running, but Bama is playing New Mexico State. They're playing 1-8 New Mexico State from Las Cruces, New Mexico, a beautiful little town that I drove through on my way to Arizona early last year, whose claim to fame is that they have a large truck stop and they're about roughly 40 miles down the road from White Sands Missile Ranch. That's it. That's also where my former spouse graduated from high school. This Mr. Fingers fun fact. It's a noon kickoff on the SEC network. ESPN has Bama as a 99% lock. I think that some of the drawbacks, the drawbacks for New Mexico State is A, they're New Mexico State, B, they're 1-8, C, they're playing Bama at Bryant-Denny. And D, they're playing a Bama team that struggled to beat an LSU team that was a 29-point underdog. They only beat them by 6 points. And Colin, it's that thing you say about Bama. There's this thing you say about Bama. What is it you say about Bama?
Bama does what Bama do.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Like I said, copywritten cannot be used without express written consent from me. Copywritten. I'm giving you permission. Copywritten.
Oh well, yeah, for the purposes of this show only.
I think we need to put that on one of your cups, man. We put one on the cups down there. Your sponsor here. We can put one on the cups. Bama does. Bama does. Give me a smile on that.
We're with colleges.
Yeah.
Hey, look, don't play. I can get custom made mugs made. You see that right there, right?
Okay. I'm waiting on my shoes, bro.
You buy some? I'm
waiting on to purchase them.
I'm not balling like that where I could be like, MJ, just send you a pair, be like, yo, autographed and everything. But we'll talk. But like I said, Bama, like Colin likes to say, Bama does what Bama do. They don't like to look bad, and any week they look bad, St. Nick ran them boys to the ground this week. They're going to come out and they're going to scrub New Mexico's face in the dirt. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. And they were talking about that on the radio this morning. This is the time of year where guys get hurt, where the coaches might run them a little too hard, or they might go out. Or we go get to the put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. They either run the team too hard, or they just tell the team, go out there. You lost last week. Now y'all better go out there and kick these guys in the jock strap. And I don't want to see a single one of them left smiling when the game is. I want you to beat them so bad they don't even want to shake your hand after the game is over. And that's basically
not to get off subject, but something happened like that. What team was that the coach got upset? That might have been the NFL game. What was it? The coach got mad because everybody was like laughing in the locker room after the game after they got beat. Was it a college game?
That was a college game.
It was.
I can't remember what it was, but somebody got video of him cussing them out.
They got video of him, and now he's getting.
It was the Florida game.
Was it the Florida game?
It was the Florida game.
Oh, was it Mullen?
No, not Mullen. It was one of his assistant coaches. I think it was Florida.
I don't remember, but just going off what you were saying, it just reminded me of that happening. Like, the kids were in the locker room after getting like beat down or losing the big game, or whatever. And they were laughing and joking, having a good old time, and the coach wasn't having that. He went in there and just, and somebody had videoed or recorded him or whatever, and he was going off. I mean, with good reason, you get smoked on the football field. I mean, wait till a day afterward to have fun. I mean, you would expect that. I mean, it would be like, it is a game.
Well, if it was anything like any of the coaches that I played for when I was growing up, I never got to the high school. I never got to the high school level, but I played from Pee Wee all the way up to the middle school. If it was a game we lost to somebody we had no business losing to, you didn't have no time to be laughing and joking about it the next day because coach ran you in the dirt.
Yeah, and I picture the same thing with Nick Saban. When Alabama has these games that they've been having, I guarantee you they've been up in the morning Sunday before church. I guarantee you them boys are running.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you better go to church, and I know none of you better not be rooting for Notre Dame, but you better go to church after practice and pray the touchdown. Pray the touchdown, Jesus. They will come out and whoop them like they never been whooped before. You better whoop them like you caught them. You caught them in your house trying to get with your girl while drinking the last of your Hennessy and smoking the last of your
Well, that's a lot of hurt right there. That's a lot of hurt.
Newport filter longs, because we can't say the other thing on the
Right.
Yeah, you better whoop them, and you better whoop them. You better whoop them like your mama used to whoop you when she knew you was lying, and she let you lie to her for half an hour, and you kept lying to her anyway. That's what they're gonna do. But some of the keys to the game for Bama is Bama has got to get their running game back. Brian Robinson started out the season as a ridiculous. I mean, Brian Robinson's an absolute stud. I don't know what's happened in the blocking scheme, or if it got switched up any, or if coach tried to. I don't really see Nick Saban as a guy that tries to get cute, but I don't know what happened. But Brian Robinson just has not been as effective. The other thing is, they got to protect Bryce Young. You know, Bryce Young has been sacked 21 times this season.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Now, mind you, he's still having an absolutely killer season this year, but he's been sacked 21 times. LSU got him 4 times. Texas A&M got him 4 times. Ole Miss got him 3 times.
Well, see, that brings me to what I was saying. You know, like I guess. I mean, I was saying the way to beat Bama in my mind, and what I've seen and what we've all seen in the past, is just getting through there. I mean, that just proves the point. You know, he'd been sacked 21 times. That's insane. I mean, they're not necessarily losing a lot of games by a lot, but I mean, they're having more trouble than they have in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, just for frame of reference, and I had to look at it a couple times to make sure it was right. Bryce Young has been sacked at least once by every team that Bama has played this season.
Every team has at least one. LSU, A&M, and Ole Miss combined for 11 of the 21 sacks. Ooh, I did not know that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that's got to be their keys to. I mean, they're gonna win the game anyway. I sincerely, if for some reason I am not able to be in front of the television and I miss this game, and I find out that Bama lost to New Mexico State,
that 1%.
I am expecting to see all the Aflac commercials to be pulled.
Yanked.
I'm expecting this. I'm expecting Nick Saban to just go on television and say, "Well, woke up Sunday morning, and Miss Terry didn't give me my little Debbie cakes, and she suggested that it's time for me to retire, and I think maybe that might be it." I seriously,
Look, they probably have Prime at a Saban funeral with a Saban headstone, right? He lost to New Mexico State. Here lies the coach that lost.
Man, they look.
I was gonna say that earlier, but I was like, yeah, no bias or nothing. But I would say, man, I would love to see that. But I mean, I know it's not gonna happen. I'm a realist, but at the same point,
and you know what, I would too, and for this reason only, not because I want Bama knocked out or anything like that, but just because for me, it's nice to every now and again see an Appalachian State beat a Michigan. It's nice every now and again to see a Coastal Carolina beat a BYU.
Yeah, you want to see a David take care of a Goliath every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because I mean, for me, I don't want to see him get knocked out just because I'm scared to face him in the playoffs. I mean, between the three of us, I would rather play the Goliath in the SEC championship, or I would rather play the Juggernaut and beat him in head-to-head combat. Because then there's no question that silences everything. That silences everything.
So that's what we got there. I don't want anybody but Bama. I want to. We have got to beat them. We won't. Nobody will hush or shut up until we beat them. And I mean that's our goal. Because
God forbid somebody else win the West and then we play them and beat them. They say, "Well, you still didn't beat Bama." I said, "Well, we didn't play them."
Yeah.
Although the way things work, we might still wind up seeing them in the national championship. So So that's that one. Of course, I'm giving the edge to Bama. New Mexico State, listen, it's real pretty in Las Cruces. I hope you guys have a safe trip to Alabama and a safe trip back. It's just like walking home from school. It's just like when your mom told you could go outside and play back in the day, and you got in some trouble, and the neighbor saw you and said, "I'm gonna tell your mama," and you knew they was calling your mama because they had the phone in their hand, standing in the door, and you just walked home as slow as possible. Just take the slow, easy route. Stop on your way through New Mexico and see the giant pine cone and go to Texas and see the world's biggest cowboy boot outside the South Lake Mall in San Antonio.
Do whatever you can do.
Take some pictures of some tumbleweeds. You know, do something. You know, go through Louisiana, get yourself some etouffee, and just because when you get to Bryant-Denny Stadium, and God bless. Hey, look, if you win, I would look. I'm gonna say this: if New Mexico State beats Alabama, I will buy a New Mexico State shirt and I will wear it on the next show as soon as I get it. With my Georgia hat. With my Georgia hat, of course, because I got to represent Georgia. Anyway, but yeah, I'm giving the edge to Alabama. Moving on to the next game.
So you don't even want to ask me or Sean? I guess that's a
oh, my bad. My bad.
Foregone conclusion that we
New Mexico State, they're going
by 50. Let's take by 50.
Speaking of 50, Colin, that's the line, 51.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So sure is 51. 51 even. Okay.
There it is. Mexico State's 1-8. I've seen them play. They're not good.
Come on, man. You gotta give me a one.
Every dog.
You gotta give me a one.
If this game is not like a 50-point game by the third quarter, I think you could move Alabama down a notch, like a ranking.
But
I mean, if Alabama doesn't at least score 50, they're gonna be ranked number 3.
No, because I don't know who you're gonna put up in there at number 2.
Well, we don't know who's gonna win. We don't know who playing this week is gonna win big. We'll see, won't we? Wait a minute. Hold on. Before I move forward and offend anybody else got anything for the crowd?
I'm just moving. No, it was foregone, dude. Yeah, you can go ahead and say Bama. All right,
we're Bama on that one. Next game up, South Carolina at Mizzou at 4 on the SEC network. South Carolina, like I said, surging. They're 5-4. Mizzou at 4-5. It is almost an even split. ESPN has it 48% to 52% with in Mizzou's favor. This one is, I'm going to say this was a coin toss.
Yeah.
And I tell you why. I don't really know much about, South Carolina has kind of flown under the radar because they're South Carolina. I'm going to go ahead and give my edge now. I'm going to give the edge to South Carolina. Why? Connor Bazelak is out. And Bazelak is kind of a Will Rogers type quarterback who can sling the ball around. Now, granted, it's a lot of garbage time yards, but he can sling the ball around. He's out, and Mizzou is doing that thing that we just talked about. They're doing the 2-quarterback system with Tyler Macon and Brady Cook. We saw it last week against us. And the offense really could not get anything generated at all until the fourth quarter. And even then, they couldn't get in the end zone. Tyler Beatty for Missouri, I think he could be the difference maker, honestly. If he can step up, and because South Carolina's defense is definitely not Georgia's defense. It's kind of like the difference between going in the gym and trying to lift 315, and then you can't get that up, but then you take all the weights off, and then you put on about $125, and all of a sudden the $125 is a lot lighter than you thought it was going to be. So I think Tyler Beatty is going to be able to have a really great game, and I think he's going to show out. And then Missouri's defense giving up 36.8 points per game. South Carolina's defense 23.7 points per game. So I like I said, that's my edge there, the defense, because I don't see any place else where there's any wiggle room to say that one team is any better than the other. Their records are almost identical. So Colin, coming to you first, what you got?
So yeah, I can kind of agree with what you're saying there. I mean, these are two kind of one of the probably the same caliber teams. I mean, like you said, what is it? Missouri's 4-5 and South Carolina's 5-4, but South Carolina's riding high off of that beat down of Florida. So I mean, you kind of
that's their SEC championship right there.
Of course, yeah. So I mean, you kind of want to wonder if that if they're going to be still riding high off that win. Missouri is Missouri. We talked about them before. You know, you kind of never know what they're going to get with them as well. But I mean, like you said, this is a pick'em game. I mean, ESPN does have Missouri by 1, but at the same point, I kind of want to go with what you're saying. I kind of want to say South Carolina's going to take this, even though it is in Missouri.
Yeah, that's what I got. What say you, Sean?
No, Bazelak is questionable. So I think, I mean, depending on if he plays, and like you said, you pointed out Anthony Handy about Tyler Beatty. I've spoken about Roundtree, who's actually playing for the Chargers. He's he gets garbage time, whatever, in the league. Doesn't really get much, but he's a legit back. They had a 2 running back system for a while, and Beatty is solid. He's 10th among all active rushers in yards at just over 1,000. So I would actually go with Mizzou, but I'm real shaky on that just because, like you guys said, South Carolina's on a roll. And I think this could be a game where South Carolina is just like, we want to get to the bowl. So,
yeah.
That's essentially what this game is 2 teams going at each other to see who's going to make bowl eligibility first.
Yeah.
I do foresee both of them going to a bowl. South Carolina has 5 wins already, and even if they drop this one and Auburn next week, they've got Clemson on deck. So I see them potentially getting a bowl game out of this, although I think this is the one they're going to pull. I don't have Missouri's next 3 opponents up here, so I couldn't tell you who they got.
They got South Carolina is this one, then Florida and Arkansas.
Okay. Yeah, I could see both of them being bowl eligible by next week. Just flip-flop, no, not next week because Mizzou has to win 2 games. But like I said, I'm giving the edge to South Carolina on that one, just cause. I mean, that 2 quarterback system. It's one thing. I've not seen any coach, both whether at the college level or the pro level, really be able to make that work. And all it really does is it just kind of sets a tone of the team does not know who to follow. Who do you follow? Who is your quarterback? I mean, you're still supposed to execute regardless, but
that was going to be my point. Is like, aren't you supposed to be prepared for either or? I mean, the offense is the offense. And that's what got me. I mentioned that last week about when we played Bama a couple years ago. When they took out Tua and then put in Hurts, and like I said, we didn't practice for Hurts, and they're like, all right, well, I mean, it goes on the offense as well. I mean, like whoever's in the quarterback, it's the same plays. I'm just outside looking in as a spectator. I mean, I'm assuming it's just plays, same plays, but of course it's going to be a different quarterback situation. Ability wise. I'm sorry.
You keep bringing this whole thing back to Bama.
The Bama does what Bama do.
Yeah, every week you keep bringing it back to Bama every week.
Hey, it's going to keep getting brought back until we beat them, bro. It's going to rear its ugly head every year until we beat them.
True that. Next game up, we got Kentucky versus Vanderbilt at 7 p.m. on ESPN2.
Ooh. I think this might be the first time I've seen Kentucky get favored by over 20 points.
I listen, I got nothing for this one just because it's Kentucky. And while Kentucky is not necessarily cream of the crop, Kentucky has definitely made their way up to the tier, second tier. Like they're definitely now a second tier, a good second tier SEC team. Vanderbilt's 2-7, and I think those 2 games they just won by accident. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's no line on it that I can see. I'm just giving the edge to Kentucky just because of Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez. And they're playing. I know they're playing in Vandy, so it's not even going to really be a home game advantage for Vandy because there's going to be maybe what Vanderbilt is in Tennessee, games in Kentucky. They're neighboring schools, the neighbor state schools. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a ton of Kentucky fans in that state.
Well, I think Kentucky travels well as well. I mean, I think Kentucky always travels well, regardless of who they play anyway.
Yeah. So edge to Kentucky. Plus that Kentucky's got a lot of fans that are more so basketball fans, but they root for the football team because they're, because Kentucky. So
Yeah.
I can definitely see that being a home field advantage for Kentucky. I actually, any team that plays at Vanderbilt, it's a home. I'm not even trying to be mean. It's just the truth. Next time the next time you see Vandy play at home, you notice they rarely pull out and show the crowd. Like especially after about week 5, they rarely pull out and show the crowd. What they show is close-ups of the visiting teams fans cheering, or close-ups of the Vandy fans, the 3 to the left in the stadium, just going, thank God these student tickets are free.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with that one. We're going to keep this moving right on along. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining today, welcome to This Week in SEC Football. We're talking week 11. God, I can't believe that the season is already on its way to wrapping up. My man, Sean Spencer, the shout-out king, the homeboy, the brother from another, Colin P. down there rocking the University of Georgia baseball jersey. That's looking pretty snazzy. Oh, dang. I didn't even see that.
Ring the bell, baby.
I thought you were wearing the Five Guys hat. That says ring the bell. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Anybody that's lost, they ring the bell to the chapel on campus every week if Georgia wins, regardless of home or away game. And the bell ringing is, so for those folks that are on campus that might not get to hear or see the game, if they hear the bell ringing, they know they won. So moving on to our next game. Oh, gosh, what do we got here? Texas A&M University at Ole Miss.
Ooh,
both teams. Texas A&M at number 11, Ole Miss at number 15. Both teams at 7-2. Both teams in the SEC West and chasing Alabama. I think this is probably going to be the marquee game of the week. I know there's going to be a lot of eyes on the game we're going to talk about a little bit later for other reasons. But this is probably going to be the marquee game of the week right here. You got two teams that are fairly evenly matched up. You got Texas A&M giving up 27 points a game. You got Ole Miss giving up 18.8. It's 55% in favor of Ole Miss. On the A&M side, you got – I'm talking – Sean, let's go to you. You first. What you got?
I think this game rides on Matt Corral's ankle. If he can play, it's going to be Matt Corral's ankle versus Jimbo Fisher's ingenuity. I mean, Jimbo Fisher, we know he beat Alabama. We've seen what he can do this year. Like, I think that changed their season. Like, let's be honest. I mean, if you paid attention to them earlier in the year, I mentioned this last week, how, their starter was out. Zach Calzada came in. He barely got them to beat Colorado. Got injured in that game. Actually got injured in the Alabama game, but then came back and had a great moment. They've been playing great. They have a great dual running back system with A-Chain and Isaiah Spiller. They have a good team. They're great. But at the same time, I can't discredit Matt Corral and what he means to that team. Now, he is missing a couple of key weapons at receiver, which makes a difference. And him not being 100% healthy, I think, is going to be a detriment to that team. And like I said earlier in the year, Texas A&M, that was my pick. When you asked me earlier, Anthony, who do I think is going to come at it, I think Texas A&M is going to keep this thing going. So that's who I have going. But I don't want to discredit Matt Corral, but I think his injuries and the fact that there's a lot of injuries on his team, and they're 7-2. They've had a good year, but they've had some tough moments. They've had some games where they barely got out of. So yeah.
True that. I think just to add to piggyback on that, I don't know what key piece you said is missing. We got his Snoop Connor is doesn't have a lot of yards because Matt Corral is about 3/4 of the offense, but Snoop Connor has also got 454 and 10 touchdowns this season as well. So he's going to have to lean on him for the ground game. If he can just if the pocket can keep him protected and give him a chance to sling it around and open it up so that he can start handing the ball off, then that might be the difference maker. But you also mentioned, Haynes King getting hurt, and that I was going to touch on that, but you beat me to it. So I'm going to shut up and bring it to Colin. Colin, what you got?
Well, no, I was looking at it. I was going to bring the upset there, but I don't think Ole Miss has got it. I think Jimbo Fisher's got got A&M on the roll after they beat Alabama. I just think that, and this is they're picked by 2.5. So I mean, yeah, they'll definitely cover that. I mean, they might win this by 10. I think.
Yeah. Here's something. Do you think? Well, now the question becomes, who do you think beats Bama? To give them that second loss, because they're not losing. Because basically, in order for Bama to not make the championship, they got to lose at least 2 games.
Even still,
because Texas A&M right now is 7-2.
but they've got the head-to-head. So if Alabama does lose 2, A&M's got the head-to-head. They got the advantage.
True that.
Right?
True that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking about Ole Miss. You're right. But who is it that steps up? Because I don't think Arkansas is gonna get it done. We know New Mexico State's not gonna get it. Arkansas is not gonna get it. So it's basically
the only one's left is Auburn. The only one's left is Auburn.
Nah, you'll see him in the SEC championship.
Think so?
Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
Look, I've talked about Bo Nix. I love the guy, but not trusting that. And they're going to play their best game, or they're going to get stomped. New Mexico State, and Arkansas. Look, the fact I think Arkansas benefits from the fact that they are in the SEC. They're 6-3, yes, but the fact that they're in the SEC gives them a little bit more credit in the rankings.
I don't know. I mean, how?
I've seen some of their games, and they lost to you guys. We saw that, but some of the other games I've seen, I'm like,
I'm
just trying to figure out how they benefit from being in the SEC, because when they came into the SEC, they almost. I'm
talking about this year.
Oh, okay. This year, yes. Because I was going to say, when they came into SEC, they were making a hard push to challenge Vandy for the worst team.
No. I apologize. I should have prefaced this statement by saying them and Kentucky are 2 teams that I think that they were ranked, but it was more like, oh, let's hype this. Like me personally, I never believed in them. You know what I mean? Like when they came up against you guys, everybody was hyping them like, "Oh, Arkansas, they could be the team,"
to me.
and you dusted them. Kentucky, they could be the team, and you dusted. You know what I mean? Like they have good stats, they have good players, but we talked about last week how schedule sometimes for some of these teams gets front loaded with easy teams, so that gets overinflated, and then you get to maybe a Vandy early or something like that, and you're like, "Oh, they're coming in high." And it's like they're not really that good.
So Sean, let's flip it over. So all right, so let's put it as you like an outside like SEC football. So on the East has been notoriously worse than the West. Like the West has always been the better of the conferences, right? So do you think Georgia's beat these teams because they're, not as good caliber? Do you think Georgia as a team as a whole, do you think they deserve any?
No, I don't think this has. I don't think it's anything. Yeah, I don't think this has anything to say about Georgia. Georgia,
okay,
they're a step above. You know what I mean?
But doesn't it diminish playing the other teams are not good? They're supposed to be good and they underperform. Does that kind of put a negative light on Georgia? Like, oh yeah, you beat them, you should have beat them. That kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
No, because you can't downplay any SEC game, and it's similar to. I think it goes to at the beginning of each year, you pick who's the conference, who's the conference that you're gonna. That's the power conference. Yeah. I know you guys are diehard SEC guys. This is weekend SEC. There's a sacrilegious saying this, but I think this year, just by the fact of how many teams were in the top 10 and top 25 at one point, I think the Big Ten own that. But the SEC is right next to them, so it's not anything else. But I think when you have that, then you get a lot more credit because people are like, you're going up against studs every week. When it comes to Georgia, no. There's a clear one, and
Well, I believe that. I mean, just to hear
number 2.
Everybody chirping. Everybody chirping and this and the other. I mean,
right? Yeah, no, but
everybody that we've
clearly
played, was supposed to be better than they were. I guess we made them look. I mean, I like to think that we actually did make them look kind of worse than what they were. They were on paper, they were better, but at the same point, we took them.
Yeah, but a lot of it also is what they've done after that. I mean, they still have the same players, and they've gone up against teams that haven't been the best, and they still haven't been able to do anything else. If they were that good coming into that, then that little hiccup, and I understand sometimes teams can have a hangover, but that hiccup should not have been. If they're that much better than the rest of these teams, they should have cleaned the clock.
I got you.
With Arkansas, it's different because they lost the game on 2-point conversion, 52-51. And, I mean, that game could have easily gone either which way, and you're playing Matt Corral and a healthy Matt Corral. So that was, but still, you would have expected them to be more dominant in the rest of their games.
Sure.
Because they still had a good team. Rodriguez is still dominating in Kentucky and running the game. But they've fallen off. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just want to get an outsider's perspective. I just
Oh, yeah.
It's just, the West has always been notorious. Better. The SEC West has always been notoriously better than the East, and I mean it's proven this year. I mean, look at Florida, look at the other East teams besides us. I mean, haven't really been doing too much.
I mean, having said all of that, once you start stepping out of SEC though, even some of the like a Kentucky, well, I can't really say Florida this year because wow, they're struggling.
Yeah, we've been there.
But like the traditional Florida that's normally right neck and neck with Georgia every year, you can take those teams and you can put them up against the Big Ten or the best of the Pac-12 or the best of the Big 12 or the best of the ACC, and then they just mop the floor with those guys.
Nah.
You don't think
I knew that was coming?
I'll give you Pac-12. I'll give you Pac-12 and Big 12 because Big 12 has struggling defense. ACC they're a basketball conference. I can admit that. North Carolina all day. But the Big Ten, no. That black and blue, you don't mop the floor. And matter of fact, I think they got a 50-50 record against you guys. The Pac-12, they've been down for years, so I can't even call the Pac-12. The Big 12 has actually gave you – I mean – you guys, you're in Oklahoma, you're in Norman, or you're near Oklahoma, and you know how, the Big 12 gives you guys a little bit of, and I'm not talking about Georgia and Alabama. I'm talking about the rest of the crew, because there is a very distinct difference between Georgia, Alabama, and maybe a Florida on a normal year than the rest. I mean, LSU, obviously I can't leave them out because they won the national championship like two years ago, but I mean, there's a very distinct difference between the top and the rest of the SEC. But the rest of the SEC benefits from how great the top is because it's like, oh, well, you guys play them every week. So, you must be, the talent must be better. But some of these, look, Vanderbilt,
Vanderbilt, listen, hold on. Wait a minute.
We need to figure out what's Vanderbilt's
Wait a minute. Hold on, Mr. Spencer. Wait a minute. I know you didn't think when I said that the SEC team.
No. I'm saying that Vanderbilt. Yeah, no, not Vanderbilt. I was just saying they're one of those teams. And Mizzou's another one that it could put points up. And Mizzou is a great. The funny thing is about Mizzou is they're a great bowl game to watch because against that is where what you're saying hits it against another conference because they're going to play ladder in the ACC or ladder in the Big 12 or one of these other conferences, and Mizzou puts up points in the bowl. They always are an entertaining game to watch.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
No, yeah.
Drew Lock, the Drew Lock era, Missouri Tigers.
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell you this: the Drew Lock era, Missouri Tigers. I bet you they could have hung with the Ohio States of that time.
Oh yeah. They were good.
Because they were running us. They were running us to the wire every year. The Drew Lock.
That defense for those teams. That's the question I have because that offense. Well, you were absolutely right. Yet offense was the truth.
Yeah, all day long. I gave the edge to this one. I don't know if I threw it out there. I'm giving the edge to this one because we haven't moved on. Me personally, I'm going with A&M. What say you, gentlemen?
I got A&M.
A&M as well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we gonna keep this thing moving on along. Those of you just joining us, I've been sharing this around some of the groups. If you guys are watching this, enjoying what you like, if you're watching it on the YouTube, stream, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching it on Facebook, come check us out at Let's Talk College Football. Welcome to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. I am Mr. Fingers from Zagnif Central. That right there, that guy is a shout out King Sean Spencer. That guy right there is my brother from another, Colin P. And we are here discussing Week 11. So you can go back and watch the rest to see what we said about the rest of the games. Next game up, number 25, Arkansas. Wow, they're back in the rankings again. Okay, I see. Against LSU. Arkansas at 6-3, LSU at 4-5, hoping to still get bowl eligible. This is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on the SEC Network. The battle for the Golden Boot. I did not know that there was a prize along with it. They didn't tell me. They brought prizes too, girl. These jokers brought prizes too. Arkansas is a 2.5 point favorite. But ESPN has LSU as a winner by 59.5% is what they're saying. So yeah. I don't know. Here's something, and I just ran across this when I was doing my research today. Did you guys know? Remember we talked about that whole 2-quarterback system? We just talked about it. So how about one Coach O decided this week that he was going to hold a quarterback competition?
Didn't know that.
He's going to have a quarterback competition. Max Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier.
Mm-hmm.
He's having a QB competition to see who starts, and he's going to let both of them play on Saturday.
Wow.
Has Coach O just completely said, I got 3 games left. He's going
to buy his cheeseburger or his hamburger, whatever.
I am going to go ahead and pull a Johnny Moxon, pull the hook and ladder out of the box for Varsity Blues type deal.
Yep. He just don't care.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, yeah, I know he's a lame duck coach. I know he's only got a couple weeks left. If they get a bowl game, he'll coach. I think he's going to coach if they get a bowl game. If they get a bowl game, he'll coach. But once the season's over, he's done. But what are you doing, Ed? Ed, can you hear me, Ed? Ed, look here. I'm gonna leave that alone. I will say this. I guess Ed Orgeron is who we thought he was. I am gonna miss him on the sideline saying, "Go Tigers." But other than that, I mean,
it's crazy to me that he came from the most lovable coach to, just in the gutter. I mean, like he's on his way out, footing the ass.
Very quick turnaround.
I mean, like he turned that around real fast. It was like crazy. But
seriously, just bottomed out.
Behind the scenes stuff, I don't think we ever will. But at the same point, we're just going to we know what we've been told. But I know what's been said. But
I was gonna say, the behind.
And I'm not disagreeing with him. Not saying he's a choir boy or anything. I'm just saying it's just crazy.
I'm just saying, if I was the CEO of a company and one of my employees tried to holler at my wife, he would have a come to Jesus. I'd have a come to Jesus with him too.
I got to question the stupidity of the man. I mean, that's just. I mean, was he at least drinking? I mean, give him some kind of excuse or something. I mean,
you wanted something to come. You wanted something to come out like, come on, y'all. Tell me he was drunk. Tell me, tell me somebody slipped something in his drink. Maybe
give me an excuse. I mean,
he had a long night out smoking with the boys or something like that. So I can say, see, I knew Coach O wouldn't do that if he was sober. See, he won't do that sober. He didn't have his corn dog before the game today. So
I mean, did he have his translator with him so the woman understood what he said? I mean, like.
Man, I think it's Cajun folk that live in Louisiana be talking about what that boy be talking about. I don't know for true my shit. All I know, he said go Tigers. That's all I know.
They putting in the etouffee out there, man. They put something in the etouffee out
there. Maybe somebody. Hey, look, maybe somebody slipped some edibles in his gumbo. All I know is
all around. I mean,
that makes no sense to me right now. Now I mentioned earlier. I mentioned that Bryce Young had been sacked 21 times. Well, how about Max? How about Max has been sacked 23?
Wow.
I mean, he's got Tyrion Davis Price. It's got 6 touchdowns, 731 yards. He's got Keyshawn Boutte. Is it Boutte or Boots or Booty or how is it? What is it? I don't know. It's probably if I butchered your name, young man, I apologize. I have not. I didn't get my Rosetta Stone for the anniversary for my anniversary like I asked for. So I don't know how to pronounce if it's Boutte or Boots or Buta or whatever. I'm not trying to make fun because you probably stronger than me and you younger than me. So I don't want no problems. But that's his leading receiver. He's got 509 with 9 touchdowns. What say you, Colin? We're gonna come to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at this for a little bit. I don't know. I mean, like this is an even one for me. I mean, like even though Arkansas, they said Arkansas was picked by 3, even though it's in LSU. I don't know. It kind of goes back to what's LSU playing for. Like what kind of mentality the players are in and that kind of stuff with all that. Off the field stuff with Coach O and all that kind of stuff. If they're letting that get into the head and that kind of stuff, I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying what kind of mentality they are on the field when they get out there. So I mean, you know what? I'm gonna go against the grain on this one. I'm gonna say LSU's gonna win this one. I'm gonna say LSU's actually gonna win this one just because it's toward the end of the season and maybe they would feel like they need to play for Coach O because he's on his way out. Maybe they have that kind of feeling that. They'll ball out for him. I mean, I don't know. I just have this feeling that LSU's going to come out on this one.
Okay. How about you, Sean?
No, I agree with him. I absolutely agree with him. I mean, and for what it's worth, Ogeron says he interviewed him and said he's optimistic about the last 3 games in the schedule. I mean, he thinks they'll finish strong. I mean, they have Arkansas, who we just talked about. They have UL Monroe, who obviously, with all if they lose to that, well, then we already know the answer to this question. But and then they have Texas A&M, which I think is going to be a nice test. And obviously, I think they're going to lose that game. But I think they're going to get to 2. They're going to win this game and get the 2 necessary victories to get to a bowl. Let Ogeron go out, and then just wipe the hands with it.
Yeah. If they lose to ULM. The AD may just go ahead and ask for his pass key.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's not going to let them play Texas A&M if they lose to ULM. They're going to be like, okay, you've proven it. You're done.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I am going to go against you both. I picked Arkansas in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think that Arkansas has a stronger defense. That's not saying much when you think about the fact that Arkansas and Ole Miss put up 113 points when they played each other. But we knew that was going to be a shootout anyway, just because it's KJ Jefferson versus Matt Corral. But other than for a couple of games, Arkansas has managed to keep their opponents pretty wrapped up. Plus that you're talking KJ Jefferson, who's got almost 2,000 yards and only 3 picks against 16 touchdowns. So I'm thinking I'm giving my edge to Arkansas on that one. So that's where we stand with that. You know what, fellas, we're not giving due diligence to we're not giving due diligence to the SEC's little brothers that are soon to the SEC's pledgees that are soon to be full-fledged initiates. You see what I did there? Shout out to my boys there. OU number 8. OU versus number 13 Baylor. OU comes in undefeated at 9-0. Baylor at 7-2. It's at noon on Fox. 68% for OU. I didn't really have this one for me is almost a wash. Almost.
You going homer on this one?
But this one's a wash for me. It could go either way. Okay. I've seen since I've been here, or rather since we played Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl 4 years ago, and I've been following OU more closely. OU Baylor is always a dogfight. Always. And remember, I've been saying this every week. Iowa State, Baylor, TCU. Them three right there will get you on a good day. And Baylor is no slouch this year. They're 7-2. They're still chasing because they have an opportunity to shake up the foundation by beating Oklahoma, which then opens a whole new realm of possibilities. Because now you've got Baylor. I think Baylor only has one conference loss. You got Oklahoma State, which has 0 conference losses. So now you got this whole thing shook up. I will say this to the positive for you Sooner fans that are watching and going, he don't know what he's talking about. The margin, the one thing that I have been saying since we started this show is that OU needs to come through with more offense and better defense. Their margin of victory for the first 6 games, and I'm tossing Western Carolina. I know you can't, but I'm going to throw Western Carolina out the window.
That's 76. Yeah,
that one was a gimme. But their margin of victory outside of Western Carolina was only 5.6 points per game.
Wow.
Okay. Now, since Caleb has taken over as a starting quarterback, their margin of victory has been, and playing full games. I didn't count Red River because, actually I did count Red River, but I didn't count it as Caleb because he started, late in the game. Since he started full games, 21.3 points per game that they're putting out. Now, the offense, the defense is still letting a few things get through in the cracks, but what they have been doing is they have been playing more as a unit. I haven't really seen a lot out of the D-backs. The only big play that I can remember the defensive backs making all season was that circus catch. I forgot who that game was even against, but it was like an OBJ type deal.
It was.
Was. So I haven't really seen a lot of.
I was running back. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you're right. I saw
now, that. I'm gonna come, Sean. I think I went to Colin first. I'm gonna go to you this go round.
Well, Caleb Williams, I think what was he? I thought I just saw he was 14-1 touchdown interception ratio. I mean, that's pretty incredible. I mean, he still hasn't surpassed Spencer Rattler in total passing yards on the team, but
he's getting close though. He's only behind him by like 250 something.
But it's still amazing to think that Spencer Rattler did amass 1,400 yards prior to getting yanked. I mean, it lets you know. I mean, he was 11-5, and look, so it with them. Williams gets the job done. We have seen that, but both of them do move the ball, so that offense has still been going. We obviously know about the defense. The defense has had trouble, as do most defenses in the Big 12. This is one of those games, man. I don't really know how to call this. I'm going to kind of default to you, Colin, because I do want to shout out RG3 because this was the game that he came out in, as Baylor and upsetting the mighty Oklahoma in that year. So, like you said, Anthony, this is definitely one of those type of games that Baylor could come in and shock them and not think twice about it, and then have Oklahoma just sitting there just like, what happened? It was all good just a week ago. We were undefeated, So
right,
yeah.
No, Sean, yeah. I'm right with you, man. Because I think this could potentially. I'm not saying it is, but it could potentially be their first loss if they're not careful. I'm just looking at it. Like ESPN's got them at 68%. I mean, it's like, and we definitely know. I mean, the over/under 62. So we know there's not going to be a defense in this game. But it just depends on who's got it. It just depends on if the offense can score after the other offense scores. As long as they can keep keep it within 1 touchdown, I think Oklahoma's got it. But I will pick Oklahoma. That is my pick. But at the same point, it's going to be Baylor might probably be on their heels. So I think so. But I will go with Oklahoma.
Yeah, I pick Oklahoma as well. By the way, I'm just saying Baylor could do it, and it could happen. But I really don't. I can't call it, but I would say Oklahoma just because I think I want them to beat one of the Final Four. So,
gun to my head, I would definitely say gun to my head, I go with Oklahoma. But for me, just looking at it on paper, it's a wash. But for Oklahoma, here's the thing: both of these teams need this win because Oklahoma's got Baylor this week, Iowa State next week, and that's the one that's another one of those sneaky ones. And then they close the season out with Bedlam in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State is number 10. They're only 2 places behind OU in the rankings right now. So the last thing that Oklahoma needs right now is a loss this late in the season. Because that'll hurt. And the circus catch was against Nebraska, by the way. That's now I remember.
And on the flip side of that, Baylor's got K-State and Texas Tech as their last 2 games. So I mean, Baylor could be playing this game, you know.
Yeah, like if Baylor wins this game, Baylor wins this game for them. It's a cakewalk to the finish line.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm just saying, Oklahoma better not let it. I mean, I know it's always a tough game, but they better not slouch, because I mean, Baylor is one of those teams that could potentially, slip in there and give them that first loss.
Yeah, and keeping it going on to the little brother of the 2 little brothers, Texas versus Kansas. There's no line on this. It's at 7:30 on ESPNU, which is kind of just a step above being on SEC Network Plus, because I didn't even know SEC Network Plus existed. Kansas at 1-8. Yeah, Kansas at 1-8. Texas at 4-5. I think Texas has the edge. Texas really this year, this was supposed to be a year for Texas. This was the year that they were going to come up and, that they were going to fulfill the prophecy that was that was brought by the great God, Sam Elliott.
We're back!
Which we really have yet to see. So this year was supposed to be their year, and they showed a ton. My first time seeing Texas play this year actually was Red River, but just seeing them ball out, I was like, okay, all right, Texas can do some things here. But I think that was also the beginning of the backslide for Texas, because they haven't been able to recover since losing Red River. I mean, they're 4-5. They got 2 games to go to get bowl eligible right now. So they really need to step up against Kansas. They need to do what Oklahoma did not, is go out there and just mollywop Kansas, because they got West Virginia. They got a scrappy West Virginia team the following week, and they got Kansas State the week after. So I'm giving the edge to Texas. I'm giving the edge to Texas with an asterisk. I'm gonna step back and let you fellas give me your 2 cents.
John, you want to go first?
Oh yeah, no, the Red River shootout. I think that had the same effect on Texas as the Georgia-Alabama game when Tua came in and the national championship had on you guys. I just think it was sorry, you guys are Georgia guys and you guys are also Atlanta guys, so the same effect that 28-3 had on Matt Ryan. I just think they have. You're absolutely right, Anthony. I don't think they've been able to recover from that. I mean, you saw they lost to Oklahoma State. They lost to Baylor. They got stomped by Iowa State. You know what I mean? I mean, you talked about them being sneakily good. Iowa State didn't even bother. They just destroyed Texas. So Texas just kind of seems like a team that had a lot of promise when they bought into the hype, and it was great in the beginning. Hey, Anthony, you called it out. You said if Texas comes into that Oklahoma Red River shootout and punches them in the mouth, watch out. And
that's exactly what they did.
Exactly right. But the two quarterback system, going back to the 2 quarterback system, it happened. Caleb came in the perfect situation. He dominated, and Texas really has not been able to get past that situation. And the funny part about it is they were in the game all the way through to the end. It was a last-second touchdown by Kennedy Brooks, but they just really have not been able to get over that hump. And I mean, I think they're going to make a bowl game because Kansas is terrible.
I mean, they're 1-8. So,
but I think it's going to take everything they have to get that 6th win, because West Virginia, like you said, is scrappy. Kansas State is scrappy. So I'm not guaranteeing they get 6 wins, but I think it kind of goes back to that bowl conversation we had where people want to see a flashy team. That's why you get a 6-6 SEC team over like an 8-2 Mid-American Conference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, you get one of these little teams. So people want to see Texas. Texas has a big following outside of, you know, in the kind of in all the other facets of media and all that stuff. So a lot of people love Texas. So they'll get their due. But it's going to be tough getting that 6th win. I do believe that. But this week, they're going to. I believe they're going to stomp. I think they're going to stomp Kansas.
I mean, I'm with you, Sean. I think they have no problem with this week. But you know, and I can kind of say because I was watching a little bit of West Virginia last week against Oklahoma State, and you know, I just watched the first couple plays of the first quarter, and it looked like, you know, West Virginia came out like they were on fire, like they were running the ball real hard, and then they just kind of tapered off. And then, as you guys know, they lost 24-3. So I mean, like, I don't know if I would be worried about West Virginia. I mean, they are scrappy, but at the same point, I mean, I don't know. I just I could see them getting that 6th win. I mean, like, I could. I mean, I'm just going to throwing it out there, but I can see them getting. They're going to have trouble, like you said, Sean. But I mean, I think they're going to get that 6th win and be bowl eligible. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
because West Virginia, man, I feel for them. I mean, can we just RIP West Virginia?
Yeah, going on the sidebar, Sean. I told you guys that story about me going down to West Virginia when we were in the Sugar Bowl. Did I tell you guys that story already? Okay. All right. Now I just want to make sure I actually told that story.
Well, look, man. I mean, between North Carolina, I mean, we always seem to get into like the Holiday Bowl or the GoDaddy, was it GoDaddy.com Bowl or something like that. And who we normally play is a West Virginia, so we're very familiar with them. On top of the fact that, you know, my fiance, who you guys saw in the screen room, definitely is, her parents live in West Virginia. They're all about Morgantown, West Virginia, and Marshall.
I've been there, man. It reminds me of home, dude. It's just like, absolutely. I've been there.
All right, look, Colin, the first time I heard your voice, the first thing I said to Kat, I was like, yo, is that West Virginia? Is Georgia West Virginia?
Don't make me take you to school, man. I work on the phone, man. There's so many dialects. I'm telling you, you know that North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas.
Oh yeah,
all of it sound
and
different.
Then wait a minute, and then hold on, wait a minute. Then you have, like you mentioned, Tennessee. Like you got Tennessee, and then you got out in the sticks, Tennessee, and then you've got Memphis, and then you got, you understand, like that whole hustle and flow. I was dying watching Hustle and Flow because that's exactly how those cats talk. Man.
Oh, absolutely. Look at T.I. Don't even close his mouth when he talks.
Expeditiously.
That bang up mouth.
Yeah.
Expeditiously. What I'm finna do, I'm finna go over here and you gonna go talk to some fellas and you gonna want to see
put that X in there. Fix it. We fixing. We don't finna. We fixing.
Expeditiously.
I don't know what the hell we fixing, but we fixing something.
Not expeditiously, expeditiously. We finna, me and Tiny finna go upstairs and hand the grown folk business expeditiously. That's how that roll.
So just not to get offside here, but I'm saying, just imagine me talking to somebody from, like, say from the Bronx up in New York and all that kind of stuff, from Bronx and Brooklyn, that kind of stuff. They pick up the phone and hear my voice. It's a conversation, bro. I'm telling you.
Oh wow! Hey, no joke, Sean. One of my other homeboys, one of my other best homeboys, partner of mine. He's from Queens, and he used to come and hang out with us at the show that I did out in Ashburn at Finnegan's. And when the two of them got to drinking and the accents came out. And Colin got the Georgia coming out, and my homeboys got the Queens. Get the fuck out of here! What are you talking about? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say that. I said that out loud.
Who is you talking to?
Who is you talking, boo boo? Who is you talking to? But you hear the two of them talking. It's like, oh my god, like really? Dude, get out of here! What are you talking about? You know, it's fun to see all of that. Now here in Oklahoma is not quite as diverse as Virginia. So I get a lot of, but even then, there's a whole bunch of different Oklahoman dialects too. So
yeah,
but I'm in the city, I'm in the capital city, so it's not quite as heavy.
This kind of goes along with the Pennsylvania guys and the yins and the, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, up here. So I mean, it's just fun to me about the accents. It's hilarious.
Yeah, all right, man. Well, we gonna keep this moving on. We gonna get to the game, the one that I've been dipping and dodging around, but I saved the absolute best for last. This is the game that I think a lot of people are gonna have eyes on, and you all know why the eyes are on this game, because it is number one. It is the number one team in the country. It is the Dogs. They are facing a very scrappy Tennessee team coming off some nice wins.
Sorry, I heard a noise. My bad. Somebody just left it on my step. I don't know what happened.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, maybe it was my visitor, man.
DoorDash is delivering mustard now. I don't know what happened.
Oh man, that's absolutely yeah. Like I was gonna say, maybe that was my visitor. Maybe he came your way.
I don't know. Maybe he just saw the podcast and threw it at my door or something.
So wow. Well played, Colin. Well played. I did not see that one coming. you get a double finger point, one from me and one from Sean. University of Georgia, #1 versus the Volunteers at Neyland Stadium. Tennessee at 5-4. Now Tennessee already out of the race for the East, but still with an opportunity to put a blemish, even though we've locked up the East and are going to the championship game. Tennessee with an opportunity to put a blemish on the record. And honestly, to tell you the truth, at this point, Tennessee is also, like I used to talk about Missouri with Drew Lock. Tennessee is also a team that ever since that last second, fourth quarter touchdown heave, Hail Mary that Tennessee pulled off a few years back, I kind of watched them on Parker Factor 12 as well. Although after they went in and they put a couple of heavy hits on their quarterback last year, I think they made 2 quarterbacks transfer, didn't they? After I don't think either of the quarterbacks from Tennessee last year are back this year.
No.
Or if there are, they didn't make first string, that's for sure.
Hendon Hooker's from Virginia Tech.
Yeah. So I seriously, we already know everything there is to know about Georgia. We've been talking it all year. 59 points allowed all season. Now here's a plus for Tennessee. They are running almost 3 plays per minute.
Oh wow!
They have a very, very fast-paced offense, and they use it to keep people off balance. Here's the drawback: that fast-paced offense sometimes does not allow for certain schemes are not as protective of the quarterback, because, like I mentioned earlier, Bryce Young has been sacked 21 times. Bo Nick has been sacked 23 times. Would either of you like to take a stab without looking at your stats? Sean's talking to you, Sean Spencer. How many times Hendon Hooker has been sacked this season?
25.
Close.
What?
It's pretty high.
Yeah, 27.
Oh wow.
Jeez, you were low end on that. Wow.
That means he has been sacked 3 times per game, average. Now I don't know if that's how it worked out, but he's averaging getting sacked 3 times a game. And I think that's a contributing factor to that 5-4 record, because it's hard to get your offense going when, and 3 sacks a game, that's at least once a quarter. Almost. You're averaging almost 1 sack per quarter per game. But Hendon Hooker, he's only second in passer rating, in a QB rating, to the mailman. So the mailman and Hendon Hooker are 1 and 2 in the conference right now.
Oh, wow.
And both of them only collectively have 6 interceptions. Collectively, between the 2 of them, they've only got 6 interceptions. They are combined for just over 3,200 yards passing. Hooker with 1,894, Stetson with 1,412. So, that's where we are right now. I'm going to go, obviously, and say I'm going to go with Georgia, not because I'm a homer. I just think that this is a more complete squad this year. When you got a defense that consistently gives you, it's hard to beat a team. It's when the opposing team's defense is giving their offense good field position. You know what I mean? When you're starting a drive at the 50 or further back, it's hard to not win games. If your defense is making the offense go 3 and out, and you're not winning, there's something wrong with your offense. And Georgia has shown that either with JT or with Stetson, they can make that happen. They can make the winning happen. So, So, gentlemen, what say you? Colin, I'm going to go with you. Actually, you know what, Sean? I'm going to let you go first.
All right, I'm gonna say the unpopular opinion because this is the Georgia show.
It is not a Georgia show. It's just 2/3 of the hosts actually happen to be Georgia fans.
I apologize for my things and me getting upset, or not upset, but animated last week. Anthony, don't bring me back to that point. This is a Georgia show. And I got to go with the mustard because I just got hot dogs from the store. So I'm probably wrong. I'm probably going to be made to eat my words next week. But I do like Hendon Hooker. And they did smack Alabama in the mouth. And just so I'm not agreeing with everybody, I'm going to go Tennessee. I look like Colin, I don't have anything to base this on.
Come on, man.
I have no reason.
You got plenty to base it on.
I'm just putting a little some in your craw. That's it.
Hey, man, there's enough in our craw. We don't have enough room for anything else, man. We got enough up in there. But I do get you, man. And Sean, I can kind of agree with you there because I'm at the same point. If we're not on our game, which I think. And that brings me to a point of mine. It's like, our defense is on point. I mean, they get upset when they get scored on or get the yards put on or whatever. And it's been said that they get scared or they get upset when they, don't beat the spread. I mean, that's what I've been saying in the locker room, that kind of stuff. But I mean, the offense is there. It's present, but it's not at the level the defense is. So, I mean, I can kind of go with where you're talking, Sean. Like it goes back to, obviously our defense is going to show up. That's they've shown up all year. So I mean, you kind of want to have in the back of your head, like, all right, well, are they going to have a subpar showing? I mean, and it's getting toward the end of the year. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm going with the Dogs. I mean, I don't know if they're going to cover the 20, but at the same point, I mean, they will. I mean, very well could. But it all depends on how the team and how the players are how they are in their head. I mean, they've got to just think about this. It's not a cakewalk. They can't go into it as a cakewalk. I mean, it is Tennessee. I mean, they're having a rough time. But again, I mean, it could happen, Sean. I'm not going to say it couldn't, but I would hate for it to happen. I mean, I really would. Because for them to give us our first loss, I would not like it whatsoever. But at the same point, yeah. I'm just and then going back to what Anthony, you and I were talking about. We did suffer a injury today. The Arian actually broke his leg.
Yeah, Aaron Smith with a broken leg. I was going to jump in. See, this is where I was going to jump in. Sean, we talk about not look. We all three amongst us talked about not looking past other teams. The fact that somebody broke their leg in practice tells me,
they practice hard.
Kirby's not letting up off the gas.
Oh,
Kirby wants these guys. I think he wants for himself as much as these guys to get that championship. And
I was gonna say he's not the only one. I think the team is they're hungry. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and I think people are talking like you and I, Anthony. Maybe like we talk every year. This could be the year. This could be the year, and get kind of disappointed at the end of the year. But this actually seems like it may be the year. I mean, if everything kind of lines up these last couple of weeks, I mean, and we'll see. Because this definitely is a different Georgia team that we've seen in years past.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people in all types of fan groups saying that this team is unlike any other that they've ever seen. So we're hoping that some big things come out of it. Not going to really beat the horse too much, but I've made my pick. I'm going with Georgia. Sean says he's going with Tennessee. Colin's got the mustard, so
I'm gonna send you this, Sean, if they win. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll FedEx it to you.
Yeah. So
just don't throw it. Just don't throw it.
I'm not gonna throw it.
Well,
we have to go get a beer and I'll bring it to you at the bar.
Yeah.
Buy you a shot.
Yeah, moving this thing along just because we want to wrap this thing up because we're at about an hour and a half here. I can't go without sending a shout out to my Savannah State Tigers. They finished the regular season 8-2. They come in second in the SIAC East with a 24 win over Edward Waters College. The original site, the stadium at Savannah State, got rained out. It rained so hard that it took the turf up off the field. So they had to move it down the street to another stadium that is normally used for high school games. And they were like, y'all want to play it? And both teams were like, yeah. And Savannah State went out there and they mollywopped them. So they come in second place in the East behind Albany State. There's another week and a half worth of games left before they do the seeding. But right now, Savannah State has
Come on,
good.
man.
Good.
You got to say it right. It's not Albany State. It's Albany State. Come on, man.
Albany. Well, it depends on what. Yeah, Albany State. They have a very high probability of making it into the D2 playoffs as a result. So, having said all of that, ladies and gentlemen, we do want to thank you for tuning in to this week in football. We appreciate you. Again, to our veterans, thank each and every one of you. We will be back, fellas, on Monday. So y'all go out and watch all the games, and feel free to, if you guys got anything you want to contribute, just hit us up on the Let's Talk College Football page. Come on over, join the group, and feel free to chime in your 2 cents. Yes, sir.
Real quick, I want to send a happy birthday to my son, Jonah Birch. He turned 19 today. He's over at Belmont University in music, just a lot of the spoken word, music, gospel, really
Tell him come holler at me.
Oh, yeah, I already did. I've already talked to him. So he's doing big things. I can never kind of get him into sports, but it's all good. He got my creative side, so he's dominating, doing a whole bunch of things with that. So shout him out, because he's starting to get to that smelling himself area, and going to certain places. So happy birthday to you, little boy, big boy.
Happy birthday.
Yes, sir.
Well, gents, we'll be back on Monday, so y'all enjoy the games. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us. And as always, on behalf of myself and my co-host, the one and only Sean Spencer, Mr. Shout Out King, and my brother from another, the Georgia boy, Colin P. We appreciate y'all. We will be back on Monday. Y'all take care, and we will see you again soon. Holla.
Be sure to like and subscribe for content and more
on your new home for podcasts and independent music
on the Zagnif One Radio Network.